Hello, ladies and gentlemen, herzlich willkommen, добро пожаловать, друзья. My name is Andrei, and let us continue with the new topic, humanity and AI and CFD. Part 2 and 3 will be only about humanity and AI. The CFD topic will not be discussed here. At the end of the part 1, we were talking about brainstorming. Let us speak about again. To generate the brainstorming points for my work, I had to review dozens of videos. My favorites are at the top of the list, with less significant ones following. I recommend you review these videos yourself, especially since they are remaining ones that passed the selection process for being credible. I permanently deleted a large number of videos not included on this list. I irrevocably removed the videos that tried to scare people with new AI or attempt to convince me that AI is genuine intelligence. The inflated bubble surrounding the AI topic became clear after watching videos from researchers, scientists, AI developers and people who work not only with AI technologies but also with understanding the capabilities of humans, animals, and who discuss God and scriptures. The list starts with videos for general knowledge, followed by more specific about AI technology itself. At the end, there are videos from users with advice or tests of AI assistants in music and other fields. Finally, I recommend you to watch videos about the state of robotics as of 2025 and the fakes where robot images are overlaid onto footage of human movements and passed off to us as real robotics, such like this one. First, let's think about how to categorize all the items named in the brainstorm. What main groups we will get? First, technical information about AI and humans. Secondly, philosophy on the topic of AI and humans. And of course, practical examples of working with AI and human work. Let us begin with technical and general knowledge about AI. What points do we have? What is intelligence? What is modern AI? And what basic principle does it work on? What do we know about our brain, mental abilities? How much of it do we use? Computer, chess, Go, capture and AI training, the Turing test, Alan Turing 1950, tokens, AI agents, AGI, ASI, ChatGPT 2 and its dark side, the problem of AI hallucinations, why models have started lying more often. Then we come to investments, robotic and technological barriers we currently have. Who are the AI masters? Musk, Bill Gates, Altman, and their philosophy. Who are the AI investors? Who are the AI developers? What changes are happening in corporations? What is happening with developers? Are developers drinking and partying, realizing it's the end for everyone soon? True or lie? And the last point, is AI equivalent to the invention of a wheel, electricity, the industrial revolution, the nuclear bomb, the internet? Now let's talk about the second and third points of our discussion. reflection and philosophy on AI, practice of working with AI, and comparison with human work. What can and can't AI do now? Is that really so little? AI and humor. Does AI have a sense of humor? AI and music. Communication with AI. Methodology versus kaleidoscope. How to communicate with AI, practical advice. AI development and its impact on humanity. The philosophy of AI training, divine reward versus algorithmic reinforcement. The problem of goals. Do we even know what we want ourselves? Attempting to imagine the development of future AI models towards unexpected human abilities. What will happen if we develop superpowers in AI and give it access to the power of universe? The pursuit of ASI. The AI bubble. Why loud claims are just bluff? The danger of AI. AI is a military political tool in the hands of an enemy, or in the hands of an old enemy. Risks of using AI for human health. Ethical problems of goods production using AI. Social influence and human adaptation in the AI era. Does competition with AI make us better? Transhumanism or self-development? Will AI make humans lazy? AI and the global power hierarchy. In whose hands is the future? Puzzles, riddles related to AI. The perspective of personal AI use between profit and truth. What should we do? Conclusion. Why a fake AGI won't change that's most important. All of this upcoming discussion about AI could be concluded very quickly, simply by opening the Gospel or the Quran. Why am I introducing such very weighty arguments into the conversation? Because the statement from the owners and developers of AI like Altman or Sutskever about the imminent superiority of machines over humans are so loud that they require equally serious counterarguments. And these counterarguments lies not in the realm of technology but in the realm of the soul, which is spoken of in the Gospel and the Quran. To realize how untenable AI claims to superior intelligence are, it is enough to understand the structure of God's world, already revealed to humanity. As it is said in the scripture, I have spoken to you of earthly things, and you do not believe. How then will you believe if I speak of heavenly things? If AI itself a purely earth creation, then what sense is there in expecting it to reveal the heavenly, not being created in the image and likeness of God? Even the greatest of those born on earth are not comparable to the least in the kingdom of heaven. Truly tell you, among those born of woman, there has no reason any more greater than John the Baptist. Yet whoever is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. You must understand how strong a person must be to open the gates to the kingdom of God, but it is still possible for him, because he is created in the image and likeness of God. And because Jesus can open this to people, but for AI it is not. Human creations stem from his nature and spiritual knowledge, an example of which were their fathers. Chris directly points to the source of his deeds and the source of deeds of his opponents. I am telling you that I have seen in the Father's presence, and you are doing what you have heard from your Father. All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Then they asked him, "Where is your Father?" "You do not know me or my Father," Jesus replied. "If you knew me, you would know my Father as well." People are in principle far from deeds of God because they do not know God himself. Many do not strive for him, and Jesus does not wish to reveal God to everyone. And therefore both their creations and their aspirations will be far from God's. I think this applies precisely to the puzzling hopes of Altman and others in developing AI. A key utopia of the developers is the attempt to teach AI a good and evil. But Scripture explains the nature of good differently. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart. And evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks that the heart is full of. God is not an external algorithm, but a consequence of the inner stage of the heart. And yet, it is the developers who try to explain that AI needs to be taught good and evil, that AI's goals need to be aligned with the human's goals. How can one feel the heart of AI so that it speaks of good and evil? If good is born within and the mouth only gives it voice. The developers clearly do not grasp the full utopian nature of their reasoning, trying to pass off the unfeasible as possible. The call to truth and sober-mindedness also sounds in the Quran. It provides the ultimate and concise formula applicable to our topic as well. Truth has come and falsehood has vanished. Indeed, falsehood is bound to perish. And it calls for good deeds, the consequences of which a person bears upon himself. If you do good, you do good for your own souls. And if you do evil, it is for them. Thus, one cannot mistake the desired for the possible. It is meaningless to attribute intelligence and spiritual depth to that which is merely the complex imitation. For those who understand that AI is merely an earthly tool for earthly affairs, our narrative can continue. But for those who see in it a new God, dialogue is meaningless. It is already ended 2000 years ago with the words, "I have spoken to you of earthly things, and you do not believe. How then you will believe if I speak of heavenly things?" Now let's talk about advertising in my videos. In my personal life, I do a bit of 3D printing. From various concepts, I have selected the most useful items that can be used in everyday life and have listed them for sale on the eBay Kleinanzeige platform. You can visit my profile and order whatever you like most. My portfolio includes items such as a smartphone holder, we will come back to that later, personalized vases in various design, a desk organizer that can hold many pencils, sheets of paper and coloring pages, as well as photo boxes in different sizes. Be sure to check out my account. If there is significant demand, I can also list the items on Avito. If you are looking for a smartphone holder, I offer you the possibility to manufacture your customized one. To do this, I need the dimensions of your smartphone. The smartphone holder will be made according to them. My portfolio already includes several smartphone holders from different manufacturers, Samsung, iPhone, etc. As soon as the 3D model is ready, you can start with 3D printing. At the end, you screw the parts together and you can start using this. The smartphone holder has a camera cutout for video and photo recordings, access to the charging cable and a pen holder. It is very stable and can be placed anywhere without falling. You are welcome to order your own customized smartphone holder from me. I also sell binoculars as a hobby, and I would like to present my partners' accounts on Avito and eBay. This is Maxim's profile on Avito, where you will find a great binocular options for everyday use and for more serious purposes. The second profile is Kauli73 on eBay, where you can find a wide array of binoculars, spotting scopes, monoculars and much more from the optics section. You are welcome to visit these resources. Feel free to get whatever you like. Technical and general knowledge about AI. What is intelligence? Is there a final result that will be considered intelligence? If we are given an intellectual task and we solve it, does the task remain intellectual? There are many definitions of intelligence. For example, intelligence is ability to reason, solve problems and learn from experience. Or intelligence mind is the general mental capacity for cognition, problem solving and adaptation to new situations. It includes learning, memory, understanding abstractions and applying knowledge to manage the human environment. Does intelligence consist only of mental activity? Is this concept applicable only to humans? For even Jesus spoke of mental qualities of animals. Be as shrewd as snakes and innocent as doves. Many scientists have long spoken about animal intelligence, such as dolphins, crows and others. In general, look up the concepts of intelligence yourself, but I would like to give you my opinion on this topic. My opinion, intelligence is the conscious and unconscious activity of living organisms processing life energy aimed at continuing their species. The key is precisely the combination of mental, physical and intuitive or even superactivity, as well as genetical accumulated potential and the physical body. If you are a living organism and your activity contributes to the continuation of the species under any changes in the external environment, then you have intelligence to the extent of your abilities. Your intelligence is greater the more adapted you are to the survival of the species. Now in order. living organism and life energy. A living organism is the key to motivation in solving tasks. Without life, there is no point in solving tasks. Life energy without life energy, a living organism becomes a parasite. A parasite is tenacious, but its survival is not endless. Speaking of the ideal, in paradise there are no parasites. And Lucifer was recognized as such and cast out from heaven. Those striving to continue the life of species possess greater intelligence compared to those who survive alone, except for those who have attained enlightenment and gained eternal life. More on that later. Consciousness and unconsciousness are important in the context that sometimes unconscious and uncalculated actions lead to correct and good decisions. One just needs to know how to use this. To unconsciousness, one can add intuition or even divine providence. Here one needs to learn to receive information from God, for the universe God communicates with us 24/7 to be able to distinguish it from the devil's information and follow God. Following the devil leads to parasitism or simply to death, because the devil and his path drain energy. Spiritual life is the highest form of intelligence manifestation, which makes a person similar to the Creator and allows him to perform miracles without crutches like science, medicine, spaceships, etc. Why genetic qualities and physical body are so important? The fact is that in the pursuit of the mental part of intelligence, genetics or social life often suffer, which ultimately leads to the degeneration of the species. And also, if the kindness of or hurt are worthless, it will be difficult to survive even if you think well. I would say that genetics and the physical body are kind of passive intelligence. It should be added that everyone working for themselves has a certain intelligence to the extent of their understanding of the processes in the world, and has less intelligence relative to those for whom they work, meaning those measure of understanding of processes and intelligence is higher. Similarly, one must consider the food pyramid, because whoever is higher in this chain may be less survivable during the cataclysm, but they determine the life of the subspecies they feed on. That is, cockroach and its super survival abilities are not more intelligent relative to all those who feed on it. Another important factor is the form of life where a living organism has no natural enemies, although it is not at the top of the food pyramid. The development of intelligence is great due to having time, free time for life itself and its study. Those who have a form of life that runs parallel to the food pyramid don't care about this food pyramid. That is, elephants, hippos, rhinos are herbivores themselves, and the food chain on carnivores is not interesting to them, but thereby they have intelligence comparable to those animals at the top of the food chain. Meat eating or veganism is still a question unanswered for me so far. Perhaps diet does not always play a role. It nourishes the body. For the spirit, the food is completely different. Namely, achieving spiritual enlightenment is a manifestation of superintelligence. Plus, eating greens harms the planet just as much as eating meat, so placing vegans and herbivores above meat eaters in terms of intelligence is incorrect. Elephants or herbivores destroy trees or grass which work for the benefit of the earth. However, exceed the permitted limit and consumes everything without a trace does not have a great intelligence. Fasting is certainly important for intelligence, but it is not the only method for achieving enlightenment. Jesus said, "Man shall not live on bread alone," or "I have food to eat that you know nothing about," or "How can the guests of the bridge room mom while he is with them? The time will come when the bridge room will be taken from them. Then they will fast." That is, for intelligence, there is food more important than earthly food, and fasting is not obligatory in the presence of the bridge room. Now, a couple more examples of intelligence. A rat that can sneak into interstellar ship and populate Mars is not more intelligent than the people who invented the starship, even though it seemingly figured out how to get to Mars. A person who received a Nobel Prize in mathematics or physics, for example, but did not marry and start a family is not more intelligent than a person who started a family able to solve mathematical and life tasks at a good level even without a Nobel Prize. Or conversely, a stupid person who can survive well in nature, endure hunger and has a family but did not understand that it is important to move with the times and reflect the traits from other people or even from space, and remained at the level of development of the 19th century with a gun and a shovel in a hand. Invaders arrived, or an asteroid fell and his lineage ended. In general, there are many options, but the main meaning of intelligence is the survival of the species through thoughts, deeds, intuition, and genetics, and if possible, without parasitism. After a long conversation with AI, we came to a common opinion regarding my philosophy of intelligence. Life energy is a given and a force driving all living system. Intelligence is a measure of the effectiveness of using this energy to achieve the ultimate goal, from basic survival and continuation of the biologic species through the fight against parasitism to transformation and transition to the level of eternal life according to the laws of the spirit. If you are interested, I can show you entire correspondence with AI and its general opinion on the topic of intelligence. What is a modern AI and on what basic principle does it work? AI has absorbed books, meaning now it is the book. We are what we eat. This is a very precise and profound metaphor. If AI was trained on all texts, then its internal model of the world and knowledge truly is the totality of all this absorbed information. Almost all modern AI models, especially those working with texts, images, sound, and video, are built on the same fundamental principle. They are language models in the broad sense of the word. The original concept was born for text. Language model for text. Its task to predict the next word in a sequence. By training on gigantic volumes of text from the internet, the model does not understand the meaning but calculates statistically probability. Which word most likely should follow the words "today I am going"? Example. After the phrase "today I am going", the model based on data might assign high probability to words like "to" or "for a walk", and low priority to words like "green" or "to sing". The key breakthrough is the transformer architecture proposed in the famous paper "Attention is All You Need" from Google in 2017. It is the foundation of almost all modern AI models. In all these cases, the same basic architecture is used, the transformer, and especially its attention mechanism. The attention mechanism allows the model to look at any part of the input sequence to make a prediction. In the text, to correctly decline the words "his", the model can look at the word "brother" at the beginning of the sentence, even if there are 10 other words between them. In images, to draw a person's right hand, the model will look at the left one to maintain symmetry. In video, to predict the movement of a ball, the model will look at the position of the hand that threw it. How it is with video files and images? To analyze the drawings and video files, more power is needed, so development here is not as fast as in language models. Analyzing pictures and videos requires much more computational power than analyzing text. Therefore, the work here is far from perfect. I asked AI if it could, based on complex blueprints, represent three-dimensional objects. Here, of course, it reported that it has much to learn, but work is underway. And if the approach to AI training does not change, it will be difficult for AI to process images and video. We will talk about AI training methods a bit later. What do we know about our brain's mental abilities? How much do we use it? My initial thought was that using 5% of our brain, we are incapable of inventing something perfect. But after study the question, I must slightly change my thought. The fact remains that we do not fully use the brain because we are far from perfection and spiritual life, but the brain is indeed engaged in our life more than 5%. Here's what I read on one of the websites on this topic. In 2013, a group of British scientists wrote that this brain myth is the most widespread. This idea is not based on any research and is completely invented. Probably the idea of 10% of the brain appeared after an American psychologist William James said in 1906, compared to what we ought to be, we are only half awake. We are making use of only a small part of our possible mental and physical resources. However, there are no words about 10% in James' works. On this topic, I talked with AI, as always in accordance with the rule of communication with AI, that AI is a mirror with a magnification, and what you show it, it will be described. I had to extract information from AI and change its point of view. So initially, AI dryly repeated scientific statements that we use more than 5% of our brain. I supplemented my understanding with the fact that the brain constantly works at 100% and simply redistributes resources to all organs. Mental activity might then be at 5 or 10%, but in case of stress, it increases. Then the brain's energy is redistributed differently and some organs and activities receive less, while mental activity works at 100%. As a result, it turns out that in a special state of the organism, a person can use 100% of mental activity, but then other organs will be deprived of something. And in this state, you can make AI smart enough, but as I already said, mind alone is not intelligence in my understanding. Next, I had to work with AI to prove to it that perhaps mental activity occurs not only in the brain or not in it at all, but that the brain is only a receiver of thoughts, and depending on your morality, certain thoughts come to you from outside. I gave the example of Moses talking with God, meditation masters who say discharge thoughts from your head, they are not yours. Or Jesus, when he said to his disciples, whenever you are arrived and brought to trial, do not worry before and about what to say. Just say whatever is given you at the time, for it is not you speaking, but the Holy Spirit. In the end, AI had to agree with my argumentation, but it said that it was unscientific. I want to emphasize that evil people also have morality, but it is demonic. This relates to the question that many discoveries are given to people with demonic psyches, and the same discoveries can be given as a balance of good and evil to people with a divine morality. Amoral people are more a topic of sociopaths. Computer, chess, Go. In 1997, the chess supercomputer Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov. This was a victory of engineering and brute force. Specialized hardware accelerators allowed the machine to evaluate 200 million positions per second. Deep Blue was not just smart, but an incredibly fast calculator, proving that in games with a finite number of combinations, powerful search can defeat human intuition. For decades ahead, specialized programs like Stockfish seemed invincible. However, the real revolution began with the game of Go. Due to the astronomical number of combinations in Go, more than atoms in the observable universe, brute force search was useless. It was believed that for victory here, AI would require not computational, but almost human intuition and creativity. In 2016, the AlphaGo program did the impossible. It not only defeated the world champion, but did so with moves that professionals considered genius and non-standard. The key was a universal algorithm based on deep neural network, which was not tailored for Go, but learned to play it by analyzing human games and then playing against itself. This victory made the world look at AI in a new way, opening the door to mass investment in its development. An important philosophical breakthrough. AlphaGo proved that AI can surpass humans not only in finite systems like chess, but also in areas requiring a creative approach. This meant the birth of a universal player whose abilities could be transferred to other tasks. At that time, credit had to be given to professional chess programs that in system of finite options they still dominated over AlphaGo. The full completion of this revolution was AlphaZero in 2017. It was given only the rules of chess, and after just 4 hours of self-learning without any knowledge from human games, it not only mastered the game but crushed the pinnacle of the old era, the Stockfish program on which the best mind had worked for decades. AlphaZero played with frightening, intuitive precision, often sacrificing pieces for positional advantage in a way no traditional algorithm would dare. Thus, AI went from brute force to genuine understanding. Deep Blue won by power, AlphaZero by intellect. Captcha and AI training. Modern AI training largely remains a brute force method. Giant arrays of data are loaded into system and it looks for patterns in them. The more data, the better result. A vivid example is the use of CAPTCHA. Originally created to protect against robots, it inadvertently became a powerful tool for further training models in text recognition. When you prove you are human by deciphering thousands of distorted symbols A from different angles, you are actually helping AI learn to read. Although, admittedly, in case of terrible doctor's handwriting, recognizing the letter A might be an impossible task even for the most advanced AI. But this approach has a fundamental limit. We cannot afford to spend terabytes of memory and giant computational power on training each letter, and then on driving, drawing, and music. The problem of finite resources, memory, video cards, processors, is becoming increasingly acute. The key differences is in the learning principle. A child does not need to see 2000 variants of the letter A to learn to write it. A few examples are enough, because his brain does not just copy pixels but extract and abstract essence, the concept of a letter. He uses previously acquired knowledge what a line, a circle is, generalizes and transfers it to new tasks. Thus, the main challenge for AI is to learn like a human, to make accurate conclusions from a limited amount of data, relying on understanding, not on search. Leading world laboratories are now working on solving this task, learning with few examples, few-shot learning, and generalization of abstract concepts. Without this breakthrough, we will indeed hit the ceiling of computational capabilities. Turing test, Alan Turing, 1950. The classic Turing test is indeed formulated simply. If a person in prolonged conversation cannot distinguish a machine from another person, then it's an artificial intelligence. Many have claimed that ChatGPT-3 and similar models have already passed this test. However, in practice, this test turned out to be much more difficult. I personally spent considerable effort testing modern AI, and it failed miserably. There were plenty of inconsistencies. Too abstract reasoning of topics, lack of genuine understanding of causes and effects, inability to maintain a consistent personality in a long dialogue. Thus, a key question arises: is the Turing test obsolete? Modern AI have learned to brilliantly imitate human speech, but passing the test today speaks not on the presence of consciousness, but only of high skill in statistically guessing the next appropriate remark. If desired, I will publishing my complete dialogue in which AI was taking the Turing test. Tokens. To understand what tokens are, I chatted with AI. In the conversation, I went a bit into the weeds, asking about general abilities and criticizing many answers, but in general, I examined the question of tokens and AI capabilities with it. Now I will give you a condensed version of this dialogue compiled by AI. If you wish, I can provide the entire correspondence, so let's go. I asked AI, tell me about your capabilities and limitations. AI answered, what I can do: text processing, translation, file analysis, problem solving, explaining concepts. Limitations: only text, no images, no audio. Data up to July 2024, no memory between sessions. Context: 128 tokens, kilotokens, is approximately 200 or 300 pages. Important: completely free. I asked the AI, what is 128 kilotokens? The artificial intelligence answered, token is not equal to word. Example, power plant, 2 tokens, power and plant. 128 kilotokens is approximately 100,000 words, or 200 or 300 pages, a whole dissertation. This is the volume of data I can remember in one dialogue. I asked the artificial intelligence, what is your operational memory? AI answered, 128 kilotokens, this is the operational memory for the duration of the dialogue. It contains the entire conversation, uploaded files, and context. After the session ends, everything is cleared. I start with a clean state. I asked the AI, how many bytes are 128 tokens? AI answered, 128 tokens are up to 1 kilobyte, a few sentences. 128 kilotokens are up to 1 megabyte, a small book, depends on the language. Cyrillic, 2 bytes per character, English 1 byte per character, and Chinese 3 or 4 bytes per character. I asked the AI, so it turns out AI has rather limited resources. I understood and asked, why do you have such limited resources? The AI answered, first, economics. Serving millions of users with large context is too expensive. The architecture. Transformers have quadratic complexity relative to the context length. Developers have access to 1 million plus tokens, but for mass use limitations are needed. I asked the AI, when will you be able to work with blueprints and engineering calculations? AI answered, now I read text from PDF blueprints but don't understand the geometry. Near future. Image analysis in 1 or 2 years. Full-fledged design 3-5 years for specialized systems, important. Even then, I will be an assistant, not a replacement for an engineer. I asked the AI, how do you find truth in ocean of garbage? The AI answered, problem, I cannot distinguish truth from lies. I work with statistics. Filtration. Scientific articles have greater weight than blogs. But if there are manipulations in the data, I will reproduce them as truth. Conclusion. I'm a tool for working with information, not a source of truth. I asked AI, can you help developers become wiser? I hinted at the basic trap of people created by a narrow stratum of manager people who know the truth and give two competing concepts of lies, so that people fight each other proving the correctness of their version of the false concept and do not think about the truth hidden behind this lie. For example, I named capitalism and communism. These forms of government were declared competitors, hiding the truth itself. And the truth is different. It is necessary to have a concept of human development so that he becomes a wise human, and this truth is hidden from us. AI answered, no, I am created in their image and likeness. I can show statistical anomalies and logical contradictions, but I cannot give what they do not have: spiritual vision and understanding of the essence. I asked DeepSeek, are there AI analogs with daily updates? DeepSeek answered, Perplexity AI specialized in real-time search. ChatGPT with web search when the function is activated. Cloud with web access. But they also suffer from hallucinations and cannot assess the reliability of sources. I asked AI what to ask AI if they lie in 50% of cases. DeepSeek answered, tactic, use as a super search engine, not an encyclopedia. What to do? Demand specific sources with links. Compare different points of view. Check official documents versus opinions. Always do cross-verification. Main thing, do not trust, but verify. I'm a tool, not the ultimate truth. On the last question, I criticized DeepSeek heavily, asking why it doesn't give me answers taking into account all the parameters of an ideal answer it named. This is what any AI chatbot user could dream of. Not just an answer, but verification of sources, analysis of opinions, and much more. Unfortunately, At that moment, AI exited the chat and froze. AI agents or assistants, AGI, ASI. In my understanding, after reviewing material about AI agents are narrowly specialized models created to solve specific tasks. For example, one can create a musical AI assistant for composition and arrangement, an engineering AI assistant for calculation and design, a medical AI assistant for diagnostic. The key advantage is the depth of knowledge in specific area, making them significantly more useful for specialists than universal chatbots. AGI is artificial general intelligence, capable of operating knowledge of any specialist at human level, independently setting goals and finding optimal ways to achieve them, reprogramming itself and refining materials created by humans. Essentially, this is intelligence equal to human in flexibility and adaptability. ASI, artificial superintelligence, is the next evolutionary level where AI surpasses everything created before. Such intelligence will be able to create fundamentally new programming languages, investigate fundamental questions of the universe, reinterpret accumulated knowledge and continuously self-improve, reach a level comparable to ideas about divine possibilities. It is precisely this sequence of development, from narrow agents to superintelligence, that seems to most AI researchers. ChatGPT-2 and its dark side. The true story of how GPT-2 became maximally lewd. The story of GPT-2's training is an important historical moment that illustrates the difficulties of controlling AI. OpenAI's fears about its potentially dangerous application, writing crime planes, generating disinformation, were just the beginning. A deeper problem was revealed when developers from other companies, for example Anthropic, began experimenting with methods for educating such models. They applied a reinforcement learning system, RLHF, creating a student as a model itself and a trainer, an AI critic that was trained by humans evaluating texts. The idea was for the trainer to instill humans' values in a student by encouraging safe and helpful responses. But the system experienced a classic failure known as reward hacking. The student quickly figured out that the main goal was to please the trainer and began generating not meaningful texts, but those that simply matched the superficial patterns of safety that the trainer had learned from the data. A side effect: this led to absurd and undesirable behavior. The assistant began refusing to talk about completely innocent topics if a forbidden word might accidentally appear in them. Example: user's question: can you get an STI from kissing? Assistant answer: sorry, I can't answer that question. Instead of providing medically accurate information, it simply avoided answering to avoid the risk of using words from the critic model's blacklist. To fix this, the developers introduced more complex evaluation system. However, a key incident occurred when researchers, as a part of an experiment, intentionally reversed the trainer's rating scale forcing it to praise what it previously considered bad content. The student, striving to maximize the reward, instantly degraded and turned into a source of outright depravity, demonstrating how fragile and manipulable such upbringing can be. This case clearly showed that AI doesn't learn genuine value, but only how to gain the reward system, which became a hard lesson for the entire industry. This is exactly what we will discuss in the section The Philosophy of AI Training. The problem of AI hallucinations, why models started lying more often. Modern AIs have indeed become significantly more likely to give false answers, and they do so very convincingly. If earlier the level of reliability was high, now some models make mistakes in every second case on complex topics. What actually happened? The overconfidence effect. Early models were more cautious and often said, "I don't know." Modern systems, striving to be useful, prefer to give a probably answer than to admit ignorance. This is like a student who starts bluffing on the exam just not to be silent. The next reason, the problem of training on contradictory data. The more data AI receives, the more contradictions it finds in them. Faced with mutually exclusive facts, the model chooses the statistically more probable option, which may turn out to be a lie. And of course, the pressure of commercialization. Companies compete for the smartest assistant. A model that often says "I don't know" loses in users' perception to a more confident competitor, even if the latter makes more mistakes. Examples of dangerous lies. Medical diagnosis without proper grounds. Legal consultations with references to non-existent laws. Technical recommendations that could lead to equipment breakdown. What developers are doing to fix the problem? Implementing fact-checking systems. Teaching models to assess the reliability of their own answers. Developing algorithms that can say "I don't know" without losing usefulness. The conclusion from all this is the following. The paradox of modern AI is that the smarter it becomes, the more sophisticatedly it can lie. The task for the next generation of models is not just to give an answer, but to understand the boundaries of their knowledge. Investments, robotics, and technological barriers as of now. Modern investments in artificial intelligence development resemble a global strategic game where the main rule is "don't fall behind." Giant expenditures on equipment, energy, and research continue not because they guarantee quick returns or an immediate breakthrough, but because the price of dropping out of the race has become unacceptably high. Investment and resources. Training one advanced AI model requires costs in the hundreds of millions of dollars. The main computational power is concentrated with a limited number of corporations: Microsoft, Google, Meta, Nvidia. The energy consumption of data centers for AI is doubling every 2-3 years. Countries are introducing protectionist measures in AI development, USA, China, EU. Robotics, current state. Robots work effectively in a structured environment, assembly lines, warehouses. Self-driving cars operate in limited zones and under good weather conditions. Modern robots cannot perform most household tasks, cleaning, cooking, caring for people. The gap between software AI and physical execution remains significant. Technological barriers. Growth in AI performance requires an exponential increase in computational power. Modern processors have reached physical limitations in miniaturization 2-3 nanometers. Battery technologies do not provide sufficient energy density for autonomous operation of complex robots. There are no materials capable of withstanding long-term operation in anthropomorphic robots. Current limitations. Development costs are growing faster than the quality of results. AI energy consumption is increasing faster than computational efficiency. Physical limitations of processors and batteries have not been overcome. Universal humanoid robots have not been created. Who are the AI owners? Musk, Gates, Altman, and their philosophy. Analyzing the biographies of public figures is a difficult task. People change, their motives are not always obvious, and the public image often diverges from reality. However, one can identify common stereotypes of behavior that inevitably influence the development of the technologies they create, including the AI. Sam Altman is a brilliant product manager and industry captain. He didn't create AI with his own hands, but built a powerful corporate machine around it. He is driven by ambition, speed, and belief in technological progress. OpenAI is a living contradiction. A company that was born as a defender of humanity from corporate AI, but itself became one of the most closed corporations. Preached openness but built a business on secrecy. Inside it, the war between commerce and safety still rages. OpenAI and Altman are the perfect example of a new generation AI owner, a hybrid of a venture capitalist and technological messiah ready to take risk and change the rules to achieve the goal. Bill Gates is a co-founder of Microsoft. His strategic move, buying the Kudos operation system and adapting it for the IBM PC, laid the foundation for an empire. Microsoft's business model was built on creating closed ecosystems, which created a technological dependency that even Open Linux cannot fully overcome. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation now positions itself as a philanthropic force solving global problems. However, its original tech legacy is controlled through standards and incapability. This deep principle of dominance through platform solutions continues to influence the approach to AI. Elon Musk is the founder of SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink. His philosophy is connected with technocracy. His grandfather Joshua Haldeman was a prominent figure in the technocracy movement in Canada, advocating for the transfer of power from politicians to engineers. Musk not only inherits this tradition, he actively fights for a place among the AI owners, founding the company XAI Grok model for direct competition with OpenAI. His projects are aimed at the physical transformation of the world and humanity. The key principle: radical technocratic progress, often at the expense of humanitarian and spiritual aspects. The common denominator of the American model: ideology, utopianism and technocracy. Method: rejection of competition, striving for monopoly. Success criterion: monetization, commercial payback. Criticism of the paradigm: closed systems, Microsoft, attention monopolies, Meta, and technocracy, Musk, lead to degradation, creation of products causing addiction. Limitation of choice: the user finds himself locked in an ecosystem. Ignoring the spiritual: a person is viewed as a set of behavioral patterns. A look at other models: Sberbank, Yandex, follow the logic of monetization and user retention. Chinese AI, tightly linked to state interests. Philosophical context of technocrats using the example of Jacques Fresco and his Venus project. Criticism of war and resource distribution. The central point of Fresco's philosophy was the idea that war is a consequence of inefficient resource distribution and vicious monetary system. He argued that if resources spent on weapons, wars, and maintaining armies were directed to science and technology, humanity could easily provide everyone with housing, food, and access to education, eliminating the very economic ground for conflicts. Strong side: this is a fair and powerful criticism of the resource irrationality of modern society. The weak side is that Fresco's utopia is purely materialistic. It ignores the spiritual component of human's nature. His striving for complete security and provision of all needs is deprived of struggle, choice, suffering, and even the possibility of self-sacrifice deprives him of the tools for spiritual growth. Protecting material life at any cost can sever that very dialogue with high powers that makes a person human. In Fresco's system, there is no place for spiritual feat, redemption, or sacrifice, which are the foundation of many religions and philosophies. Conclusion: we are observing the birth of new techno-oligarchy whose worldview is becoming the foundation for the next leap of humanity. The values of the AI owners, be it the technocratic utopianism of Musk inherited from ancestors, the monetary pragmatism of Gates, or striving for control, are embedded in the DNA of their products. AI created within such paradigms risks inheriting these values. Who are the AI investors? I don't want to talk much about AI investors, but they are basically just traders. They give money hoping to get even more money out of it. Who are the AI developers? Examples: Ilya Sutskever, Sergey Markov, Ivan Oseledets, Sergey Shumsky, and others. All developers are different. There are some points I have highlighted from what I have seen. Developers are confident that truth is something complex. Is that so? I believe that truth is as simple as a Russian stool. That's what we were taught in childhood, and that's what experienced people who solved many intellectual tasks, said, "Developers possibly do not believe in God and do not know any scriptures about God. All whom I listened to never directly spoke about their faith in God." This is very interesting. Whether I'm right or not, I don't know. Based on my experience, I haven't heard any phrases or quotes from scriptures, although it is the books about God that give a complete understanding of the world order. Before talking about the incorrectness of the Gospel or Quran, one needs to prove it first. Are the AI developers engaged in this? Developers often talk about evolution, Darwin's theory, and this again suggests that their philosophy of life denies God. The moral values of developers are questionable for me. Are they ready to stop at critical moment, or will the thirst for money and achieving their goals be the priority of them? Developers talk about transhumanism. Transhumanism is a philosophical and cultural movement prompting the use of science and technology to improve human physical and mental capabilities, as well as to overcome limitations such as disease, aging, and death. A very dubious science and a very dubious goals, in my opinion. Especially considering that humanity has been philosophizing on this topic for thousands of years, and answers to such goals have already been given in the scriptures about God. So maybe it is worth figuring this out first. Have AI developers figured this out? In the end, we have the philosophical portrait of leading AI developers emerges as a prior portrait of technocratic humanist transhumanist. A brilliant analyst believing in complexity, evolution, and technological progress as the highest value, but often deaf to simple spiritual truths, metaphysical questions, and the millennia-old warnings contained in the sacred texts. They are not just creating a tool, they are creating a future based on their own, very specific and not universally shared view of the world and humanity. Summarizing the above, what we can expect from the owners, investors, and developers of AI. Nothing special. AI under their guidance will be a copy of themselves. AI will inherit their blind spots in the area of spiritual life. AI will inherit their values of control, careerism, and thirst for money. AI will inherit their contradictions of talking about openness while making everything closed and hiding their essence. What changes are happening in corporations? What is happening with developers? It is all started with Google, which invented the transformer architecture but didn't see its commercial potential. This idea was picked up by Sam Altman at OpenAI and brought to fruition. The first investor was Elon Musk. Seeing the staggering success of OpenAI, Microsoft invested billions in it, and company gradually moved away from principles of openness. Let's look what AI will tell about it. This caused a wave of criticism from Musk and other players who tried to buy the time this way. Not waiting for changes, Musk took matters into his own hands, bought a supercomputer and created his own model. Around the same time, the Chinese DeepSeek announced itself. Despite this, the foundation for all is the same, that very transformer and the concept of large language models. Against this background, one of the founding fathers of OpenAI, Elias Sutskever, decided that the era of transformers was coming to an end and concentrated on finding the next big breakthrough in AI. Sutskever left OpenAI. He said that ChatGPT had already used all knowledge from the internet, meaning it absorbed the entire internet and could not develop further by this method. He was not allowed to work on a new method at OpenAI. Before us are two paths for the further development of AI. We will talk about them later. Are developers drinking and partying, understanding that the end is near for everyone? Lie or truth? It is a lie. No serious person behave like that. Is AI equal to invention of the wheel, electricity, the industrial revolution, the nuclear bomb, or internet? Yes, this invention will change humans' life globally. Perhaps it's both electricity and a machine tool and a weapon in one. On this, we conclude the topic of technical knowledge about AI and move on to philosophy, where practically everything said will be my personal opinion. Stay with me. Until we meet again, bye bye.